I know that by articulating your reasons why I should give in, if I articulate those reasons and I don't give in, you now got no ammunition left.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 1%er podcast. We got a great guest for you today. Sam and I are excited. You've probably seen his ads from Masterclass. He's a stud. He is Chris Voss. He's the author of Never Split the Difference. He's the CEO of the Black Swan Group, and he's a former FBI hostage negotiator. So thank you so much, Chris, for being on the show.
Hey, guys, this is a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Chris, like I said, man, I love Never Split the Difference. What a profound book. I highly recommend everyone to get that book and read it. It's really life-changing. Thank you for being here again.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, your ad on Masterclass, every time it starts, it's everything in life is a negotiation. Why do you think that's true?
Yeah, well, you're only in a negotiation if you want something, if you need something. If the words I want, I need are either on your mind or coming across your lips, or the person talking to you has got I want or I need coming across their lips. So that's a negotiation. Most people only think of negotiation in terms of when money's involved. The commodity that's always involved is time. And that's our most precious commodity. And so when are you not figuring out how to use your time, how to spend your time, how to interact with your time? All the time. So yeah, I mean, it's going on around us all the time.
Uh-huh. So now you got trained in the FBI as a hostage negotiator, is that right?
I was among the places I get trained. My first training as a hostage negotiator was with the FBI. I got to train some other places too, but yes.
Okay. Now, what were some of the key things that they taught you? It's not a business deal. You're negotiating with people who are violent, with people who are committing crimes, and a lot of us aren't going to ever interact with people like that. So, what were some of those training pieces that got you through and to be competent and able to do what you do?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing that they really tried to teach us is understanding what's really at stake. And, what's really at stake and what the other person is saying is probably not going to line up. And so really hearing the other side. And then looking back on it now, human beings make decisions regardless of the circumstances pretty much the same way. It's built around the other person's identity. It's built around what they're worried about losing. It's we make our decisions based around principally on negative thoughts. What do we not want to have happen? What are we afraid of? What are we going to lose? What does this mean to us as a human being? That was what we were really learning in hostage negotiation. And then now, 20 plus years later, we're finding out this is for everybody. This is what we do all the time. There's a phrase, how you do something is how you do everything. So that's what we learned way back then, really understanding what was at stake, really understanding what the person was trying to express with what they said, assuming that they were trying to express themselves, just not doing a great job of it.
Uh-huh. Now, I want to get into some of the tactics and some of the, what you can actually teach us, because as the average person, we don't know any of that stuff. We're just kind of like, hey, I want this and you want this, and see like how we can meet in the middle, how we can split the difference. So, why do you call the book that? I'm curious.
You never split the difference.
Exactly. So explain that concept to us, never splitting the difference.
Well, first of all, splitting the difference sounds like compromise. What's wrong with compromise?
Yeah.
The example we use all the time is, I don't know whether or not to wear black shoes or brown shoes with this outfit, so I'm going to compromise. I'm going to wear one black and one brown. Point of fact, the application of compromise is always horrible. I've never, ever had a business person under any circumstance say to me, thank God we compromised. We made such a great deal when we compromised. Nobody says that, ever.
So true.
Nobody ever cites a great deal being built around compromise. And while theoretically it's complimentary to be willing to compromise, would you compromise your integrity? Are you willing to compromise your core values? Well, compromise is either a good idea or it's not. So if compromising your integrity is not a good idea, then that should start to indicate to you that compromise is a bad idea. If you think compromise is a great way to do things, then you are thoroughly impressed with the American government's ability to get things done. You think Congress, you admire the stuff that Congress gets done.
Always a compromise, yeah. Makes total sense.
Politicians compromise. You know, you don't, nobody, we admire great leaders. We don't admire politicians. So, you know, across the board, compromise is bad. And kind of one of my favorite examples, which is really relevant today, Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Now, nobody on either side of that is terribly happy with what he's expressing. Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, that was a compromise move. He was originally sitting out the national anthem, and he sat, and you know, and this is one of the reasons why I admire Kaepernick, because a special forces man came to him. I usually have his name on the tip of my tongue, and said, you know, in the military, we would kneel at a fallen comrade's gravesite to show respect. And Kaepernick was touched by that. And so he started taking a knee to show more respect for the military, more respect. And how did the other side react to it? They're more offensive. People completely forget that Colin Kaepernick made the adjustment to show more respect. That's what compromise does. Everyone has misinterpreted what he was really doing when he agreed to take a knee. So, you know, compromise just destroys what people are after to begin with. It's just not a good idea.
I feel like on the surface level, compromise is almost like a win-win. It's like, hey, it's a little bit of what you want, a little bit of what I want. Like, that's okay.
But nobody's really happy though, right?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate reaction. Nobody's really that happy. When in fact, you know, you should be willing to collaborate. I mean, I think the idea behind the spirit of compromise is, look, I'm willing to collaborate with you. So do the extra work. Let's talk about this. Let's find a better answer that neither one of us had in mind to begin with. That's what collaboration is, and compromise is just a dangerous thing. You need to stay away from it.
Okay. Now, let's talk to us about, you know, as you're in a negotiation process, and what are some of the phrases or what are some words that like you shouldn't use, or if you hear, they would be red flags to you, you know?
Well, you know, and along lines of what we were just talking about, a red flag for me is at the very beginning of a negotiation or the first conversation. Sorry for stumbling over my words. If somebody says right away, hey, I want to do a win-win deal. Let's do a win-win deal. That's a red flag. Anybody that says that right off the bat, they're trying to win. They're trying to get me to do something for free. I almost automatically reject somebody if in the first couple of moments they say, you know, we want to do a win-win deal with you guys. I know, all right, you're trying to cut my throat. You're trying to get me for nothing. You have about 3 minutes to correct my impression, to say anything else to me that you're not trying to kill me. But I'm probably going to reject your proposal, and you've already got me in a negative frame of mind if you say that right away. And I've had no shortage of cutthroat negotiators tell me that openly. They say, yeah, you know, I get somebody on the phone and I say, let's do a win-win deal. And then I ask for 10 times what I want so that I end up where I wanted all along. Yeah. Well, that was a lie. That was a tremendous deception. I've had that game attempted on me too many times to like, okay, you know, I'm willing to learn. If you say those words right off the bat, what I've been taught is that you're probably coming at me from an angle that I'm not going to be happy with. Now I'm going to give you a chance, but that, you know, that's a real strong indicator. You're turning me off right away if that's what you're saying right off the bat.
Why is that? You know, because I feel like most people would hear that and be like, yeah, like let's see what we can do together, you know. But why is that such a turnoff to you right away?
You know, because it's come up as a consistent move from somebody who's trying to take advantage of me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm mostly, when you come across a bit of information, a piece of data, some behavior, you can look at the world as if it's tip of the iceberg or benefit of the doubt. Either this is an anomaly or this is likely a pattern. And a lot of people want to say, well, you know, this is an anomaly. You know, this is the exception to the rule. Well, pretty much people that get in that kind of thinking, then everything is an anomaly. Well, not everything can be an anomaly. You know, chances are the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior, the best indicator of a behavior. It's going to happen again. So over and over and over again, I'm seeing constantly the people that say win-win right away want me for nothing. Now, I will continue to explore the conversation. I've got a couple of other tests that I'm going to check on early on. But, you know, this is follow-on confirmation. Usually once I get three pieces of three indicators pointing in the same direction, three indicators are good enough for me that that's the way things are going to be. So, you know, I'll say, sounds like you got a vision for how this would work out. Or it sounds to me like you already have a plan. Or it sounds to me like you guys got a budget for this. Well, then the next pitch or somebody who's trying to get me for nothing, they're going to say, well, this is going to do you so much good. Oh my God, you're going to have such opportunity if you just do this for free. I'm like, okay, all right. There's my next indicator. You've just taken 2 strikes. Now, one more strike and you are out.
So
I'm willing to listen.
Yeah. How should you start something then so that the other person isn't on edge?
You know, well, the first thing too is you got to hear the other side out. Like if somebody says to you, look, I got to win. I want to do a win-win deal. I really want a win-win deal with you. I'll say, well, it sounds like you got something in mind. Now I'm hearing you out. Now I'm going to get out of your head. You're talking right now. And really whoever's talking most is losing in a negotiation, because if you're talking, you're not gathering information. And negotiation is first and foremost an information gathering process. You look for the bits of information, the evidence, the pieces of data, and you start to look for how they line up. Yeah. So the smart move is to hear the other side out. You know, one description of negotiation that I really like is negotiation is the art of letting the other side have your way. How does that happen? I got to get you talking. I get you talking. I begin to find out what your vision is, what your game plan is, what you would like, what works for you. When you lay out stuff that works for you that I also like, that I go like, wow, that's a great idea. Congratulations. Boy, I love that. Now, not only have we probably come to an agreement, but you're going to feel like you made that deal, which means you're going to follow up. You're going to implement. I mean, I already know I'm going to implement. I need to know that you're going to hold up your end. And if it comes out of your mouth, you're going to hold it up.
Okay. It's funny because I was looking at Google yesterday about like their negotiation tactic tips, and they say you should always make your arguments first. And out here you're saying, don't do that.
Yeah, 1,000%. And that, you know, that's one of the reasons why I pretty much, you know, me and my team, the Black Swan method, will disagree with the academics.
Chris, I have a daughter who's 7 and another daughter who's 11. And they negotiate with me and I lose every time. Every time we go to the store, they want something and I lose the negotiating with them. How can I win?
All right, so what's your job as a parent?
My job as a parent is to raise functioning and contributing members of society, not spoiled brats.
Yeah, all right. So first of all, I'd ask you to reframe the conversation. Your job is to teach your kids how to think so they can. So, you know, you're with your daughters, you're in a yes/no conversation. That's not teaching a kid how to think.
That's true.
So, and here's the one that a lot of people miss. Parents, you know, they often say kids are great at negotiating with parents, so they don't take no for an answer. And I would tell you, I think the dynamic is different. Kids learn that human beings are much more open once they've said no. Now, I'll bet the dynamic goes down that your daughters ask you for something and you say no. Mm-hmm. And they keep in on you and eventually you give in. But what happened? You said no first.
That's me, yeah.
Now, human beings have a tendency to be much more open to listening. Like, I didn't really realize this myself until I was thinking back to when my son, who's not a president of the company and a heck of a negotiator, probably a better negotiator than me, when he was 17, he used to say, "Dad, can I?" And before he'd even finish the sentence, I'd say, "No." And then once I said no, since I felt protected and safe, I'd go like, "All right, so now what was it that you wanted?" And in hindsight, I realized that having said no, I was much more open to listening, much more open to the possibilities. And I didn't really realize that that dynamic had been going on for years until we started taking a hard look at what happens when people say no, how do they react? We started, like I had to look back and think, what was my reaction? Having said no, I felt more protected and more safe. I'm more open to listening. I'll bet that's what your daughters have learned about you. They don't know it consciously, but they know once Dad says no to something, if I stay and if I just continue to work on him, he might end up changing his mind. To me, that's a sequencing issue that we don't really realize until somebody else helps us think our way around.
I love that. I love that.
Do you almost want someone to say no so they would be more receptive?
Oh, yeah. We do it all the time. I mean, we don't even bother with the word yes anymore. Like I won't even say, do you agree? I'll say, do you disagree? If I want you to do something, I'll say, is this a ridiculous idea? I mean, one of my favorites was we were going back and forth on a negotiation with Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank. Robert Herjavec, by the way, is a great guy. I mean, generous, decent human being. And because, he bought me lunch, which makes him a great guy. We sat down, he paid. And so trying to express generosity in return, I said, hey, we'll give you, I'll give you a free ticket to one of our training sessions. At the time, we were charging about $2,000 for somebody to attend for a day. We're charging much more than that now. But it's a $2,000 ticket. To show you how generous he is, he said, how many can I buy? Instead of, he didn't say, how many can I have for free? Yeah. He said, how many more can I buy? Which is then another great indicator of a really decent human being. Anyway, we're going back and forth on the tickets. I'm not getting, I'm having trouble getting his commitment from him. My son Brandon emails me and said, we're getting ready to sell out. If you don't get a commitment from Herjavec, not only is he not going to get to buy any, but I'm going to sell the ticket we're supposed to give him for free because we're leaving money on the table. And I don't care that it's Robert Herjavec. It's still a $2,000 that we could use. So 5 o'clock, 5:03 in the afternoon, actually, I send Robert Herjavec a 2-line email. Is it a ridiculous idea for you to commit to buying to 3 tickets now? Are you against paying for them before the business day starts tomorrow? Because we're going to sell out overnight. And I don't even got 12 hours for him to make up his mind. I need it right now. Sent that email, 2 no-oriented questions in a row. Sent it at 5:03 p.m. The importance of that is, when's the last time you tried to get somebody to make a decision after 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Everybody's tired. Yeah. It's hard to get a decision after 3, let alone after 5. His email response comes back at 5:04, 1 minute later. No, we're happy to commit to 3 tickets now. No, we have no problem paying for them right away. My assistant will be in touch with you within the hour, and we will pay for the tickets. The tickets were paid for at 5:23.
Wow.
I didn't even bother with the word yes.
20 minutes.
It's important. We intentionally get people to say no constantly. We cut deals all day long, every day, around no, not around yes.
I love that. I love that.
That's interesting. That's really interesting because I never would have thought of that,
So next time she asks me something, I'll be like, yes, I will consider it. But what if you consider doing this? And I will start, you know what I mean? I will start, I will start an open conversation. He was so right. Not just say yes or no. I'm not really teaching him anything. Thank you for that, man. You're going to make me a better parent for that.
Now,
and that's what you wanted to do all along. That was your answer to me a minute ago in different words was exactly that. You want to raise good people.
Yes.
You know that, which is a core value. You know that to raise your daughters so that they can take care of themselves, you teach them to think they're going to be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So why don't you go over, a couple of the lessons that you're going to be giving in your masterclass? Some of the things that people could learn directly from you and how they can actually apply that to whatever negotiating they're doing.
Yeah, well, really is, how do you hear the other side out, that where it goes very quickly and they don't feel rushed? I mean, really, our most valuable commodity is time. Now, right now, across the board, only about 1 in 3 people see time as money. If I were to get a group of MBA students together, a group of CEOs, pick a group. Only in one, I'm a person who sees time as money, except on your deathbed. And there's no shortage of articles that are out there about people's greatest regrets. And when people begin to talk about their regrets, no matter how they express it, every single human being on earth, the regret will be built around how they spent their time. So whether or not you personally believe time is money, whether or not you believe that yet, you will. And so to me, then that means the universal rule is time is our most valuable commodity. What am I talking about now in a negotiation? I need to hear you out quickly. How do I hear you out as quickly as possible? How do I get to the deal or the walk away faster? Because time is money. Time is our most valuable commodity. The great thing about these proactive listening skills of tactical empathy are I make it happen a lot faster, and you don't feel rushed. You don't feel pushed. You don't feel backed into the corner. Like, I need to know right away what you're thinking about. So I'm going to say, sounds like you've given this a lot of thought. You're going to start telling me what you're thinking about right away, and you're not going to feel rushed. Because for us to make a great deal that you're going to want to repeat, I need to know what's in your head as quickly as possible so that I know, do we have a deal or do we have a walk away? That's pretty much it.
Okay. So now what about when the numbers come out and you guys are just seeing 2 different things? My price is 5,000, you want to pay 3,000. How does that process go with you?
Well, price is a term. And almost on any given price, I can change the terms so that it's a phenomenal deal for me, or I can change the terms. I can give you your price and I can slaughter you in the terms, absolutely destroy you with the terms. And I learned a long time ago that price is a term. And what happens around price is people get real emotional around price. So, when we negotiate, we don't negotiate hard over price. We negotiate over terms, implementation. What is going to make this deal a great deal for us? What's really valuable here? The Masterclass deal, the deal that we cut with Masterclass. We actually turned Masterclass down 3 times, not over the price, but over the terms. And we turned them down in a really nice way. And in point of fact, when I turn you down, it's not a tactic. It's not a way of manipulating you. I'm really turning you down. And I'm doing it in a nice way so that you get the message, this is a deal breaker. I have to change this. But you're not offended by how you receive that message, because I'm going to say it really nicely. And so then if you decide to come back to the table, you don't feel forced back to the table, which means now you're collaborating again. And I've been kind enough to let you know what really doesn't work. And I've been kind enough to let you know it in a nice way. So now you're no longer wasting time on something that's never going to happen. You decide either I got to change this or I got to walk away and move on. And you feel very voluntary in that decision, which then is the key to a great ongoing relationship. I'm not taking you hostage. You're here in this deal with me because you want to be in the deal.
One of the things you say is likability has a huge impact in making a deal. Now, I'm curious, how does respect play into that?
Me demonstrating respect is an aspect of likability. I don't have any control over whether or not you like me. I get a tremendous amount of control over whether or not I'm likable. And I know that if I'm respectful of you from the very beginning, if I show respect first, you're going to like that. You're going to want to do business with me. So, you know, I'm taking a first move on respect and on a demonstration of understanding, even deference, because you're going to like that. You're going to want to continue in the interaction.
So you say there's three types of the interactors. There's the fight, flight, and then there's the make friends.
Yeah.
So if I'm a fighter, you know, you might not necessarily like me, but you might respect maybe what I can do or what I do in business. You know,
Right.
so if there's that, if maybe that I don't like him, but I know, like, I respect him as a person, and I respect what he does because I know his capabilities. How does that kind of play in? Would that help you? Would that be even a bigger disadvantage than not being likable?
Well, being likable is always an advantage.
Uh-huh.
It's never not an advantage.
Okay.
Now, you being liked is an assertive. That's not as important to you as being respected.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean the likability is a disadvantage. You know, and I'm a negotiator. I'm going to take every advantage I can get. You know, I want to shade everything in my direction as much as possible. So will I make more deals by being likable? Yeah. And as a matter of fact, there are enough people that will reject a deal purely over the fact that you disliked me. Why do I want that to happen to me? It's a great deal, which you should have taken, but because of my demeanor, my behavior, I offended you. Now, who's the idiot here? Well, you know, I'm as much an idiot for acting in an offensive manner.
Yeah.
It's costing me money. I don't like things that cost me money.
Chris, like, I would love to, you know, be a fly on the wall when you're negotiating, you know, at a car dealership. You know, and I would
Read
love
the book. I thought you said, didn't you say you read the book? Come on now, read the book.
I didn't read the book, but I want you to tell me, how do you negotiate in the car?
I know that by articulating your reasons why I should give in, if I articulate those reasons and I don't give in, you now got no ammunition left. You got, every one of your bullets have been shot and I haven't agreed. The chances of you giving in now are significant. And so I'm going to do that just to see what happens. I'm gonna, and it's not just a car dealership. It's in every negotiation. Articulate the other side's argument, not your argument. Articulate their argument. A great example, real estate negotiation, landlord tenant, someone we're coaching recently, she's telling us that her landlord's raising the rent on, I think it's the apartment she's renting. What's the landlord's reasons for raising a rent? Which that makes no sense in today's environment. If you're raising a rent, you're asking for one or two things: for a tenant to move out or to just stop paying. Under COVID, you know, you can stop paying your rent. Even if they could take you to court, the courts aren't in session. It's going to be a while before they can get you out of there. Under normal circumstances, it's hard to get a tenant out. So she says, well, let me just express my landlord's reasons for raising a rent. And they sit down. She says, you know, you feel like you need a rent increase because your bills are not going away. Your bills are going up. You've got as many or more problems than I do. Your taxes are going up. Your utilities are going up. All your bills are going up. And then she shut up. And that's the important time. You don't say, but I'm a good tenant, but it's COVID. If you want to say the word but, that's a perfect time to stop talking. Let the silence kick in. This is her landlord's response. The landlord says, yeah, but if not raising your rent's what I got to do to keep you as a tenant, I'm not going to raise your rent. Now, how often does the deal make itself for you?
Wow.
Does it matter? If it's 2% of the time, I'm here to tell you that it's north of 50% of the time, the deal will simply make itself if you articulate the other side's position and then shut up. But if it's 2% of the time, that's 2% of the time I just got back that I don't have to negotiate. I got my deal without lifting a finger, without saying a word. I just got more efficient use of my time. I can now put more effort into the deals that require my effort. Or I can go back and find another one that's easy to make.
It's so counterintuitive, though. You know what I mean? So counterintuitive, because you want to kind of argue and state your side, you know, and, you know, the better way is to state their side. Oh, man, this is
nuts. And it works like magic. You know, your you're the professor from Harry Potter. You just wave the magic wand at them and you change their mind.
Wow.
Yeah. So do you need to do that before they state their points, or can you just restate them back to them? Like, do you get what I'm trying to say?
You can't do it without that, right?
Even if I articulate them first, or if I just summarize them after they're done, the great thing is it's going to have the same effect. So, that's a really good question. What's the order to summarize their perspective? Is there a time when your summary is ineffective? And the answer is your summary is never ineffective. It always leaves you in a better position, whether you went with their summary first or you summarize their position after they stated it.
Okay. Now I'm curious, because if you try to maybe enter the conversation that's already in their head and, they haven't stated it, what if you summarized wrong? What if you anticipated and that's not what they were thinking?
The great thing there is then they get to correct you. And when somebody corrects you, there's a saying, people don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. When somebody corrects you, they're helping you. For us as human beings, when we get corrected, we're embarrassed. But then again, it ain't about us. What's the other person feel like when they're correcting us? They feel like they're helping us. They're giving us advice. Correction is eminently satisfying. We think of it as one of the 7 deadly sins. They feel that. Why are there critics everywhere? Why do people criticize others in social media, in the media? Because for the person criticizing, they're correcting. It makes them feel good. That's an advantage for me. If by the interaction you felt wonderful in it, you're going to want more. You're going to want to continue to correct. You're going to want to continue to help. That puts me in a position to just keep you talking till you come up with the correction that works for me. And then I go, wow, brilliant. And then you do it because you thought it was your idea.
Wow. I love that, man. I love that. Now, what are some of your favorite phrases to kind of use to move things along in a fashion that you want? If it's starting out, if it's segueing to what's the price, or if it's, hey, like, how do you say no the right way?
Well, first of all, I'm going to explore it a little bit. Like if you're telling me my price is too high, I'm probably going to say something like, sounds like the value is just not there for you. Yeah. Now, I got to read your reaction to that, but you're going to tell me a lot. That's a strategically placed statement to get you open up. Because one or two things is happening if you got an issue with my price. Either the value really isn't there for you, which means I got to find out what the problem is, because a product, a service, something that doesn't work at a lower price still doesn't work. So lowering your price doesn't fix bad products. So either the value isn't there for you, or you're just trying to beat me down. Well, if the value's there for you and it's actually a reasonable price, and I say it sounds like the value isn't there for you, your reaction again is a correction. And you can't help yourself but correct. We get people to blurt out stuff all the time they should never say. But they say it because they're correcting. And then not only did they say it because they corrected us, but the great thing about that is they don't regret saying it because they remember how it felt in the moment. Huh. So it's a great way to get stuff out of people that they should never tell you, and you don't want them regretting it, because that's going to cause you problems on down the line. So I'm gonna find out what's going on here by the simple label. Sounds like the value is just not there for you. This is going one or two directions. I don't want to run down the wrong path. I want to know which one it is.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Now, I would love to switch gears. We mentioned politics a little bit before, and so I'm curious. We have a president who isn't a politician, and he's a businessman, and he's been negotiating deals his whole life, basically. A lot of people would have thought like, hey, we've been in war right now, and we're not. How do you see him as a negotiator, and kind of on that foreign policy issue where him relating with other countries and things like that?
Well, Donald Trump's a natural born assertive, which is my natural default type. and understanding, the pros and cons of that. I mean, there has to be assertiveness in you to make a great deal, because the other side's got to know what you need. Otherwise, you're asking the other side to read your mind. And that's not a great negotiation strategy. So you need assertiveness. It's critical. But here's what disappears with the negotiator who's only assertive. I would ask you, where are we on the deal with North Korea?
I don't know.
It's exactly it. Nobody knows. Why don't we know? Because North Korea, who was originally drawn into this process, all the provocation that started the negotiation, which, by the way, was a phenomenal thing to get started. Prior to the Trump administration, North Korea was a festering problem that he did not create, that nobody knew what to do. It looked like great progress was going to be made, which is what typically happens with an assertive negotiator. They start out in a way that kicks things into gear, but then it just all goes away. In point of fact, it's all gone away. Nobody knows where North Korea is. We stopped talking. We lost track of it. North Korea got tired of the volatile process, and they just withdrew. And that's what happens with every assertive negotiator. The other side gets tired of being in combat, and eventually they just withdraw and they go away. And either no deal gets made, or the other side goes to moving behind your back and not talking to you at all, but while planning to subvert you. And I'm here to tell you that's exactly what's going on with North Korea right now. And unfortunately, it's a typical journey of the aggressive negotiator. You get things started until people get tired of being in an argument all the time, and then they just stop doing business with you. They go away.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm curious now, what would you say, do you like him as a businessman kind of coming in versus just the traditional diplomat or politician? Do you think that's a good angle, or is that something we needed?
Well, for a lot of reasons, the answer is yes. I mean, any breath of fresh air. Like the American public has been hungry for more business approach to our government. And we've really wondered what would happen with a more business approach. I mean, when Bill Clinton was first elected back in the 90s, whenever that was, an American businessman changed the face of that election overall, Ross Perot. And America wanted to see a businessman run the government to see what would happen. Because we want to find out generally what business principles should government adopt, because government is highly inefficient. And nobody in the government ever gets fired. And maybe that's not great for government. So it's been a bit of an experiment, because he has a intolerance for inefficiency. If there's, if there's anything the guy hates, is nothing getting done, which seems to be acceptable overall in the government. So bringing that aspect to actual governance, I think, has been very good in finding out how much inefficiency in government can we just get rid of entirely. Now, I think what we're also finding out is business people have trouble adapting to government. Government people have trouble adapting to business. We're finding out what doesn't work. We're finding out that constantly calling names just gets people tired of talking to you. People get sick of it. They get fed up. They stop cooperating. So I think overall, it's been a great learning experience. We're going to end up at a much better place as a result.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree, because like you're saying, I've been to the DMV. I've been to all these places, and just so much
inefficient.
Yeah.
Because everything's inefficient. And
when was the last time somebody at the DMV got fired for being inefficient?
Rude. Yeah, or rude. Man.
Or rude, exactly right.
Exactly. But now, I'm so grateful that you were able to come on, Chris. Even what you were saying about him and his daughter, stuff like that. People are going to get a lot of value.
Golden nuggets.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm extremely grateful for this, guys. If you were watching, check out his book, Never Split the
Let's tell people how they can subscribe to the newsletter. How about that?
Exactly.
All right, so the newsletter is free. It's good price. It's complimentary. I used to have a friend of mine in the government used to say, if it's free, I'll take 3. But even more important than a free product, it's concise. You know, some newsletters you get, like I get the daily 10-point briefing from the Wall Street Journal every morning. Sometimes I don't even look at it because I don't have the bandwidth to soak that whole thing in. And if I do read the whole thing, there's so much there. I got to go take a nap afterwards just to recover. You know, our newsletter has one actionable article in it every week. Comes in on Tuesday mornings. You got your Monday behind you. You're ready to rock on Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning will tee you up with actionable negotiation advice, and it's concise and it's digestible, and you can use it today. So the best way to sign up for the newsletter, we got this text to sign up function. You're texting to the number 33777. That's 33777. You send the message Black Swan method, put spaces between words. It's not cap sensitive. Send Black Swan message to 33777. You'll get a response back asking for your email. Newsletter's free. The other advantage to it is it's a gateway to everything. You can follow it to our website, which is blackswanltd.com. You can search past newsletters. We have written an article that you can use in whatever negotiation you're in today. Doesn't matter what it is. Job negotiation, client negotiation, salary negotiation. We've got that stuff there for you. A lot of people get a long way on the book and the newsletter alone. You'll make better deals with just those 2 tools.
That's awesome, man. It
Awesome.
can't be free.
Yeah, so we'll definitely include it on the description. We'll have something pop up on the screen here. Also, you guys text that number. But go follow Chris on Instagram. Go check out his YouTube channel. Get the book. Get all this stuff, guys. If you like this interview, you're gonna like what else he has to offer, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Hey guys, if you like today's episode, do me a huge favor. Go ahead and leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, leave me a review, and tag a few friends that you think can benefit from what we shared today. Really appreciate it. God bless.